Okay, what I've got in front of me is the Pajak Radical 1Z. This is a Polish sleeping bag that I had sent to me from Europe. It weighs 1 pound. It actually weighs 1 pound, 2.5 ounces. It's made out of 900 fill power duck down, and it's got a quantum pertex shell and liner. The quantum pertex is a special type of ultra lightweight nylon that's about 7 or 9 denier. It's intended to be super, super light, and it's comfortable. Part of what makes this sleeping bag so comfortable is that it's 7.5 feet long and it has a really wide shoulder width. So it's kind of like being under a quilt. You have a lot of space to kind of roll around in here. You can submerge yourself all the way in here and pull the hood completely shut. You can see how the hood shuts completely, and you can just be inside of here. You're not gonna feel like you're overheating for a while. At first, from like the first 30 minutes, you might not feel warm at all, but eventually you'll start to feel very therapeutic and very warm and comfortable, very relaxed. It has a really relaxed fit. And basically any temperatures above freezing, this is gonna be a good situation. If the temperatures drop below freezing, yeah, the sleeping bag might fail. It doesn't have that much down in it. And if you start to shiver, if you start to like really feel cold inside the sleeping bag, that could be a bad situation. You might have to wait until morning and start hiking again to kind of like get warm again. So this is really just for summer. It doesn't specify the temperature rating. It just says, it's a pound of 900 filled duck down, and it's for spring and summer. It's for above freezing temperatures, all right? Now, I've got a winter bag here to compare to it, and the two sleeping bags are like complete opposites. I actually owned a jacket that was made out of almost exactly the same materials as the Radical 1Z. It was the Go Light Selkirk jacket. It had 950 filled down in it and the exact same color of Quantum Pertex. So I actually owned a jacket that was like the jacket version of this sleeping bag. Over here with the Western Mountaineering UL 20, the total opposite is true. The two sleeping bags are like complete opposites. This one has got 2 pounds of 800 filled down, so it's much warmer. It's actually kind of hot, and it's 6.5 feet long, but it really just fits a 6-foot person inside of there. And when you cinch the hood shut, your face is still sticking out the front. So where this sleeping bag is really gonna be effective is in a really cold situation, like when it's snowing, but you're still gonna need a balaclava to cover your face because of the UL configuration of the sleeping bag. Your face is still sticking out of the hood. And as a result of that, I'm kind of like trying other sleeping bags and kind of trying different things, trying to get it right, because this one, it's a little bit tight and kind of hot. Once the heat starts to build up in here, you really feel kind of like you're overheating. You kind of bust out in a sweat and you start sweating in here. So, I'm kind of trying different things. This one is good. I mean, it's really comfortable sleeping bag. But where it really shines would be in cold conditions, and in cold conditions, I'm gonna need more gear. I'm gonna need some layers for my face, etc. I'm gonna need that balaclava, etc. So this is kind of like a whole different ball of wax from the Pajak. If you look at the two side by side, you can really notice how much shorter the Western Mountaineering 6.5 foot sleeping bag is. The Pajak is 7.5 feet. The Western Mountaineering is 7. But there's a really evident difference in size. The Pajak really makes the Western Mountaineering look like small, it looks shrinky-dinked. Now, one advantage to the Western Mountaineering is that I already washed it and dried it. I live in the redwoods where everything is really soggy, and so I cannot dry out my sleeping bags without putting them in the dryer. When you put your gear into the dryer, what shrinks is gonna be the threading. And so I guess, on this particular sleeping bag, the threading did shrink a little, and it kind of shrunk the size of the sleeping bag. Now over here with the Pajak, I probably wouldn't put this in the dryer for a couple of reasons. First of all, if you look at this kind of baffle right here by the hood, the down, if you put this in the dryer and in the washing machine, the down is gonna migrate out of here, and then, how am I gonna get the down to come back into this corner? I'd have to sit here for like an hour massaging the baffle with my fingertips, trying to massage the down back over here. It's probably never gonna come back. So there's just gonna be like a cold spot on the hood right here if I wash it. Also, it's got, whenever you're dealing with a sleeping bag, you want your baffles to be as simple in shape as possible, because after you wash it, the down needs to migrate back into these baffles. And where it's difficult for the down to go is into the corners. So if you're dealing with a summer bag that has square baffles where they try to get creative and put like a quilt design on your bag, you know, every single one of those corners is a spot where the down might not migrate back in. So you want to have a draft collar underneath, like this one. This is a really minimalistic draft collar, but you want this underneath these corners to kind of put some down where the down might not go. So after you wash this, the down might not migrate into these corners. So you want the additional draft collar underneath to kind of make up for that loss of heat. Because there's going to be cold spots in the corners. Also, when you're dealing with 1,000 fill, 950 fill, or 900 fill down, the bag is a lot lighter because it needs much less down plumes to fill up the bag and gain that temperature rating. So, you know, over here, the Western Mountaineering is using 800 fill, and it's 2 pounds. It's actually, it's exactly 2 pounds. So there's 2 pounds of 800 fill down over here, and only 1 pound of 900 fill down over at the Pajak. So with the Pajak, as a result of there being so many fewer plumes of down in here, it's gonna be that much harder to get the down to loft up and spread out into the baffles after you wash it, because once this down gets wet, it's gonna fail, it's gonna go flat, it's gonna clump up, and because there's so many fewer plumes of down in here, because the fill power is so much higher, trying to get that lightweight down to migrate and fill out all of these baffles is gonna be difficult. You see how long these baffles are huge. They're really, really long. They've got the absolute minimum amount of down in there. It's gonna be difficult to spread that down back out the way it should be. So as a result, I'm gonna be reserving this bag for trips. When I'm going on a trip, not in the winter, you know, June, July, August, September, etc. During summer months when it's a little bit warmer, when I'm pretty sure it's not going to get that cold at night, I'll be bringing this bag, and otherwise I'll just have it in storage, because this is not the type of bag that I'm going to want to wash. I'm going to want to just use it when I need to use it and put it in storage when I'm not using it. The instructions on how to wash this sleeping bag are to like hand wash it, get a towel with some soap, and like rub it, and then like maybe soak it in warm water, and then leave it out in the sun, and then shake it, get the down to migrate back into the baffles by shaking it. That's not gonna work where I live. If I lived in San Diego, yeah, that will work in San Diego. San Diego can get so hot and dry during the summer that, yeah, you know, like a wetsuit for surfing can dry like in 10 minutes. Whereas where I live in San Francisco, if I hang my wetsuit up outside and I wait 1 week, if I'm only surfing on a Saturday, my wetsuit will still be damp a week later. So the stuff just stays wet and soggy where I live at. So there's really no chance of me being able to dry out the sleeping bag without putting it in the dryer. And so that's gonna be an issue, because there's so few down plumes in here that it's not gonna be easy to get this sleeping bag restored back to life like new after it gets wet. Some basic bells and whistles on the bag are that it's really long and wide. It's 7.5 feet long. It's got some interesting bells and whistles around the hood. It's got this system here where that closes up. It's also got this kind of bulky, leathery, like faux leather, plasticky tab here so that it snaps together. What that does is if for some reason it's too hot to wear the sleeping bag, which I doubt it would ever be, you can unzip this for ventilation and then snap this together, knowing that that snap's gonna hold true. And then you can actually stick your arm out here and you have like a sleeve open where you can, like, you know, try to make your coffee and stuff while you're in the sleeping bag. The sleeping bag is so light that, you know, you're probably not gonna find yourself in difficult situations where you can't get out of the sleeping bag, because the sleeping bag is not for difficult situations. It's for summer backpacking, you know, like, you know, the best times of the year, say like July, you know. Backpacking in July is awesome. This sleeping bag only weighs 1 pound. So it's for me, it's normal to carry a sleeping bag that weighs 2 pounds. This one is half of that. So there's a lot of ways to ditch like a ton of weight out of your pack. If you don't bring a bear canister, you're gonna reduce the weight of your pack by a lot. If you don't bring trekking poles, you're gonna reduce the weight of your pack by a lot. You know, if you bring a tarp tent that isn't freestanding and you don't bring those tent poles with you, you're gonna reduce the weight of your pack by a lot. If you bring a 1 pound sleeping bag, that's half the weight of another sleeping bag. This one is like, 1 pound lighter. It's like 13.5 ounces lighter than the UL20. And you can just see here, okay, look how short it is. And now if I do the same thing with the Pajak, this thing is like really long, okay? And it's really long and really light. So really, to get the best performance out of the sleeping bag, I would just leave it alone. The benefit of the Quantum Pertex liner on the inside of the sleeping bag, what this does is this material is so light and so thin, it's only like 7 denier, your body heat passes right through it and is collected in the down plumes. But the down plumes are very, very few because it's 900, it's almost 1,000, which is the most you could possibly get. For instance, the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisper UL jacket is 1,000 fill plumes. To be honest with you, I have that jacket and it fails really easy. If you sweat in it a little, your sweat will cause the down to collapse. Now, the 900 fill is a little bit heavier and it's gonna deal with moisture a little bit better than the 1,000. Although it shouldn't, the 1,000 should be the best, but basically, when you're talking about 800, 900, 1,000 fill down, you automatically assume that 1,000 would be better. But in actuality, with 2 pounds of down over here, it's gonna deal with sweat and moisture better than with 1 pound of down over here. This one is 900, this one is 800, but 2 pounds of down are gonna have an easier time dealing with moisture than 1 pound of down. So you've got 1 pound of down here, 2 pounds here. You're gonna get hot and sweaty easier in this one, in the Western Mountaineering bag. And this one, the Pajak Radical 1Z, what's awesome about it is that it's roomy, and that's going to prevent your body heat from building up. It's going to prevent you from overheating. You're probably not going to start to sweat in here. And since you're not producing moisture, since you're not perspiring inside the bag, that the down isn't going to fail because the down's not going to get wet because you're not sweating in it. And it'll work, and it'll be very, very warm and comfortable and really therapeutic and nice. You really start to relax, your bones really start to crack, you start to loosen up, feeling nice and warm and comfortable in here. So, to be honest with you, I think it's good. So far, so good. My first impressions of the my first impressions of the sleeping bag, the Pajak Radical 1Z, are really positive. It's a really cool summer bag. I miss the days of Go Light. That Go Light company was awesome. They used to kind of sell gear like this. This is kind of in the tradition of traditional sub-ultra lightweight gear that's just rad. It's called the Radical One. Yeah, I would say it is pretty rad as far as the summer bag. As far as going heavier and getting a warmer sleeping bag, I would say that's probably a good idea. This one that I got from Pajak is pretty awesome, and this line, this clothing line or whatever, the Radical is pretty awesome. Their temperature ratings are in Celsius, not Fahrenheit. So, a 0 bag in Celsius is like a 30 bag, So really what you're looking for is the 0 bag. I think this is a 5 bag, and the 5 bag is like a 50 bag. So it's a little confusing. Fahrenheit and Celsius are like way different. So yeah, but this is the Radical 1Z from Pajak. I got it from a website called Alpenstore. They sent it to me. I had to sign for the package. It was FedEx. It cost $50 shipping, and I had to sign for the package. I had to go pick it up at the FedEx store. But it's pretty awesome.